before, my opponent has far too many degrees not to get it, right? So I have to believe that this is willing omission, right, on their part. We are against a state income tax. What we have said is that the wealthiest corporations in this state, right? And let's get clear about this, and I hate to get granular with you, but we all ought to know this because I want to make you better advocates as you go out there. Only 3% of companies in the state of Florida pay the corporate tax rate. 97% of businesses in the state don't pay the corporate tax rate. LLCs and S-Corps don't pay corporate taxes. That same 3% are the wealthiest 3% of corporations in the state of Florida. And all we are saying is that 3%, which under the Trump tax realignment, the tax scam, the tax giveaway to the wealthiest 1%, that 3% walked away with $6.3 billion of our money. $6.3 billion. What we've said is you can keep 5.3, but we want $1 billion of that to come into this state to train the next generation workforce for their future. For it. That was our money. We were told that wages were going to increase, right? Jobs would come back to America. And what has happened? The exact opposite. Working people aren't walking away with a pay increase. In fact, they're paying more, working harder, and taking less home, right? And corporations, what do? Stock buybacks, right? They are shipping more jobs out of the country and overseas. Every week, we wake up to a new headline about a company or a corporation moving that away. And so listen, all we're saying is we want to help them out, right? Because we want to grow the kind of economy in this state where people want to choose to locate in the state of Florida. And they don't choose states where they can't get access to the talent that they need. When the education system in the state of Florida is ranked 40th out of 50th in quality, do you think corporations and companies and businesses are choosing us to locate if they can't get the talent they need? And so we said, you keep 5.3, we want you to put $1 billion into paying teachers what they are worth. Right? Paying teachers what they're worth. In the state of Florida, teachers are paid an average salary that is the 45th lowest of all 50 states. 45th lowest, we're the 3rd largest state in America. Our teachers are paid the 45th lowest average salary of all 50 states. Right? 40% of our kids are starting kindergarten not ready to learn. You know, that same percentage by the time they get to 3rd grade are not on grade level reading. And because we have extricated from our public system writ large the kind of programs that used to exist, while college worked for me, for my brothers, older brothers, it was woodwork, shop, mechanical, electrical, technical, all of those skills-based programs where our young people can get a skill that they could monetize, go to work, get a job, and earn a good wage. When I'm elected governor, we're going to bring that back into our public. We're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back. Because, we don't have a jobs gap in this country or in this state. We have a skills gap, right? And we're being self-defeatist by saying, let's give away all the money to the top 1% and just hope that a little bit will sprinkle down. It ain't sprinkling down. And so what we've got to do is build this economy from the center out. When working people get a raise, they spend that money. They go grocery shopping. They pay their bills. Maybe they take a vacation once a weekend. And you know what? That's okay. That is okay with me. But we cannot keep starving off the resources going into our families and our households and to the average home in this state and think that we're going to build a state that is going to survive into the future. It will not. Right? And so, yes, I'm talking about issues that folks haven't talked about, running for governor, talking about a corporate tax rate and making sure that they pay their fair share. It's worth it because we are not leveling with ourselves. We're not being honest with Floridians when we don't talk about how we're going to pay for these things. We've got to raise teacher average salary. We've got to reintroduce trades and apprenticeships back into our schools. We've got to take care of our environment. We've got to expand Medicaid. We have got to invest in small businesses so that they can grow and they can prosper. If we don't do that, y'all, we'll never be the state we deserve. We'll never do that. So, I feel these issues so deeply because I love this state. This state has given so much to me and to my family. I am the 5th of 7 kids and the first 2/3 of my siblings to graduate from high school. I know what it means to have a Linda Aubrey and a Lou LaFontaine and a Mr. Estes who poured into me, who pushed me past my limitations. When I thought I had done all I could, they pushed me further. And they put me on a trajectory to go to college and to get a degree and to see my little brother and little sister come after me and do the same thing. You can't tell us we don't know what it means to see the value of a good education and to see intergenerational poverty in the world. That's why we've got to fight like our lives depend on this thing. Because our lives do depend on who the next government is in the state. Our lives do depend on that. They do depend on that. Listen, y'all can tell I ain't been on the trail in 11 days. I'm talking my butt off. When y'all are supposed to be able to ask some questions here. And so they've got names here. Y'all, as you came in, submitted questions. And I will admit, I don't know what's on these papers. And so what I'm going to do is just pull some out. And I'll call your name, and wherever you are, if you wouldn't mind just standing and introducing yourself, and then asking your question. We're going to try and move through as many of these as we possibly can. So, Corey Gibbons Jr., where you at, Corey? Oh, what's up, man? How are you? I didn't even know you in the front row. I didn't even know it. But let's get you a mic here. You got it? All right, she's got it. She's in charge. Corey, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and asking a question.
Thank you, Governor. I
received
my name is Corey Gibbons Jr., president of the St. Pete chapter of the Poor People's Campaign, founded in 1968. My question for you, Mr. Mayor, is here in St. Pete, we have had 2 murders within 4 blocks of each other in the last week. Gun violence is at an all-time high in this country, particularly in this state. My question for you is, what will you do? What kind of legislation will you pass to end gun violence and crime in our communities?
Yeah, and I appreciate shout out to the Poor People's Campaign. So two different tracks here. One is that it's extremely hard for us to eradicate the kind of rampant gun violence that we see so often in communities, particularly in poor communities around our state when people have lost hope. And I've come into contact with this as a mayor of Florida's capital city, where we have literally had to take our young people, remind them of what their self-worth is, get them on a track where they felt that they were really contributing to our society, and that their lives were worth something, that they have value to their lives. And so I started a 1,000 Mentors initiative where we put adults, loving and caring adults, in the lives of young people. And they were able to tell those young people that we expect great things from you. And then they could help them define what those great things are, and then that young person knew that they had a loving and a caring adult on the other end who would hold them accountable for those great things. We have a situation in our community where we started a restorative justice program for young, first-time, nonviolent offenders. Instead of going before a court of law and a judge and being told that they've committed a crime against the inanimate state of Florida who they've never met, they go before community justice panels. Ms. Jackson, Ms. Jefferson, the victim's family, and they get to hear how their actions impacted us, the community. And let me tell you what we've learned. Young people, the same cast of character, who are typically adjudicated through the normal criminal justice process, the recidivism rate is measured 6 months after completion. At 6 months, 40%, 4 out of 10, have gone on to reoffend. And our program, at 6 months after, almost 90% have not reoffended. It's called smart justice. It's called smart justice, which means we've got to, the best way to deal with crime is to make sure that we don't see young people particularly go deeper and deeper into the criminal justice system. Well, if you take away all opportunities for them, they eventually graduate deeper into the system. And so some people think they're being smart by being tough and hard and all this stuff, lock them up and throw away the key. That's the exact opposite. Once we get a sense that a young person is going on that track, you've got to find something to disrupt that behavior and redirect it onto a positive trajectory. And you got to do it as early as possible. You got to do it as early as possible. So that's one end. We've got to do a better job at being smart on crime. Because folks just don't wake up and start taking people's lives. Right? It starts somewhere. And you got to interrupt that behavior early on and redirect it. That's one. Number two, we have got to deal with the ubiquitous access of guns in our neighborhoods. We got to deal with it. We have got to deal with guns falling into the hands of the wrong individuals and then being redirected onto our communities. And I'm talking about gun violence that happens in mass shootings, but I'm also talking about the everyday gun violence that is pervasive in too many neighborhoods and too many places all across the state of Florida. And so when it comes to guns, some of y'all may know I got sued, drugged through court by the NRA in the gun lobby. They drugged me through court for 2 years, all because we said you can't shoot guns in city parks. Mind blown, right? Radical. We said you can't shoot guns in parks where kids play and our families picnic. And that was too radical a notion in Florida today that I was allowed to be personally sued, personally fined, personally responsible for reimbursing the attorney's fees of the opposing party up to $100,000, and personally subject to removal from office at the discretion of the governor. And by the way, that is still law in the state of Florida. Local governing officials cannot regulate guns in any way, shape, or form. Right? Now, we've lost all sense of common sense and decency on this issue. This is simple. If you want to own the power of God at your waist belt, you ought to at least have a background check. That's number one. That's number one. If you are a convicted domestic violence abuser, you should not have access to a gun that you can snuff out the lives of your loved ones. If you want to shoot a gun that can fire off 60 bullets in 60 seconds, you ought to join the military. Those guns have no place in our everyday streets. No place. No place. And y'all, there is nothing radical or crazy or indecent about that. It's common sense and it's basic. Right? But the NRA right now gets to run roughshod over gun policy in this state. Well, they got another thing coming when we win this race. We beat them. They don't like me because I disrupted the one myth that exists around them, which is they can't beat me. Right? We beat them in the circuit court, we beat them in the appellate court, and I said, I'll see you in the Supreme Court if you want to take it. Right? We cannot win. We cannot win if we don't fight. Our neighborhoods are worth fighting for. Our children are worth fighting for. Our schools are worth fighting for. And don't let anybody tell us any different. We can believe in the Second Amendment without going crazy. Right? We can believe in somebody's right to bear arms without sacrificing my life and my children's lives and your children's lives, simply so somebody can fire off a gun that has no place in society in the first place. Right? And so we got to be unapologetic, braver, stiffen our spines, square our shoulders, stand up a little bit taller when it comes to defending our families, our streets, our neighborhoods. I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to do that. And the governor will make it happen. And so this is not an easy answer. Guns are one part of it, but also dealing with our people, our kids, at a very human level. That we see them, and that we love them, and that we care about them, and we only want the best for them. And there are other choices to be made than resulting to a life of violence. Amen. Killing your brothers and your sisters and your neighbors and your friends. There's a better story we can tell them about our hopes and aspirations for them. And it ain't easy. It's hard to believe that when all you've seen is destruction. It's hard to believe that when you've never seen better. And so we all play a role in the first part of that answer. We can all be mentors. We can all pour into our kids. We can all work harder to let them feel some sense of value in a appreciation for what they bring to the table. Right? My goal on apprenticeships is a part of that, to say, you know what, college may not be for you, and that's okay. Right? But we are going to get you a skill where you can get a job and earn a wage. Right? That's what we're going to do. All right, so Carol Vaughn, Zephyr Hills. Carol, where you at? Hey! All right, Miss Carol, I think we're going to get a mic down to you. Uh-oh, okay.
So, it's a pleasure to be here, Mayor Gillum, and I have been very excited, and I'm ready to bring this home. I've actually been going up to strangers in stores. Are you registered? Are you registered? My question to you is, how do you intend, you mentioned some really good points, of keeping the talent that graduates from the good schools we have here from leaving the state. Once my daughter graduated from her college here, she immediately moved to Boston to join my son and my daughter, where they make great salaries as educators. Yes. So I'm hoping that you have an idea to keep the good talent here in Florida.
Absolutely. This is so foundational to what we talk about when we, not only just specifically for your children, paying teachers what they're worth, right? Minimum salary of $50,000 and increases on merit based off of time of service and what you've done. Well, I'm a strong union supporter, right? SEIU in the house. I don't know if it's Florida or 32BJ or 1190, they got it covered, right? AFSCME, which my mother was a member of, right? These are folks, and again, this isn't pandering. We would not have the middle class that we have in this country were it not for organized labor. We would not. Right? We would not. The 5-day work week, right? The 8-hour work day, safe working conditions, the ability to hold big employers accountable for the ways in which they abuse their employees, all of that. It's not mistaken. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. But to your point, listen, I'm so sick of, and I went through this as a graduate of Florida A&M University. A lot of my friends, this moment, a lot of my friends who graduated, they were, you still in Florida? You still? Absolutely I am. But it is embarrassing that when our folks graduate across the stage, they're on the first thing flying out of here. Palo Alto, California. Massachusetts, Cambridge, North Carolina, even Atlanta. We got people going to Atlanta, ain't got no job to the first. They just waiting on it because they're optimistic that they could get something that pays them a good wage, right? Well, I want to keep more of that talent here in the state of Florida. Let me tell you, my message to businesses, to corporations, to individual employers, to small businesses, is that if you choose the state of Florida, we will graduate any talent that you need to fill your job pipeline. You won't have to worry about talent. We're the third largest state. We're the third largest state. And the complaint shouldn't be that we can't find the talent in Florida. The complaint shouldn't be that all the good talent is someplace else. We're the third largest state in America. We ought to produce whatever talent we need to fill the jobs that we create. And I'm talking about good jobs. I'm talking about jobs that pay good wages, that have benefits, that have retirement, that treat people with dignity. Right? Those are the jobs that we have to grow in this state, and it begins by producing a well-qualified pipeline of talent. And then when you choose the state of Florida, that we're recruiting the kind of jobs that pay people wages they can live on. Affordable housing being one of the biggest challenges that we face in this state, right? The fact that even for school teachers, down in Miami-Dade, they were debating converting some of the school property to affordable housing because teachers couldn't afford to live in the neighborhoods they were teaching in. That's a shame. In fact, my grandmama used to say crying shame, right? There's some shames are worth crying about. We have got to do better in this state to help improve people's quality of life. Florida has everything that we need to be a leader here, right? Except we're missing the vision and a governor with the North Star for how to get us there. We can solve that on November 6th. We can solve that problem on November 6th. I feel uniquely qualified as an almost 40-year-old. I'm not quite a millennial. I'm an Xer. But I'm close enough to recognize that we have to adjust this state's economy to produce good talent. also to lean into micro-credentialing. Some people